August 12th marks the end of summer school duties for the nation's teachers. Among them is our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School. Yes, August is the month when school teachers heed the siren's call of travel, and they see such wonders as the Taj Mahal, the Eiffel Tower, and the Roman Colosseum.
Then they finish their popcorn and leave the theater. Last Tuesday morning, I left my bedroom and made the long trek to the dinette, where my landlady, Mrs. Davis, greeted me with breakfast.
"I hope you enjoy your orange juice more than I enjoyed mine, Connie."
Why? What was the matter with yours, Mrs. Davis?
"It was too hard. I guess I didn't take it out of the freezer in time."
Oh.
"I have a brand new deep freeze, you know."
You too?
"My brother, Victor, sent it over as a gift. But, Connie, why did you have to get up so early today? Summer school's all over, isn't it?"
Yes, but I've got an appointment at the hairdresser's.
"Oh, a date with the hairdresser usually signifies a date with a certain biology teacher."
You should be a fortune teller, Mrs. Davis.
"Oh, that's funny. I just got in a brand new supply of tea leaves. You just wait right here and I'll go brew some."
No thanks, Mrs. Davis. Walter Denton should be here soon to give me a lift.
"Oh, is your car in the shop again?"
Yes, I dented my radiator pretty badly the other day. I got a ticket, too, for passing a car on the left.
"But that's not illegal, is it?"
It is when the car is approaching you. I appreciate this lift, Walter. It's such a beautiful day for a ride, too.
It sure is, Miss Brooks. Notice anything different about the car today?
It'd be hard to not notice that the top is down. But Walter, this wasn't a convertible. It was a club coupe with a hard top. What'd you do? Take the top off?
Oh, I didn't have to. It fell off. The 12 of us went for a ride the other night, and that's when it happened.
12? Walter, you shouldn't put 12 people into one car.
Oh, they weren't all in the car, Miss Brooks. That'd be silly. 6 of them were on top. That's why it caved in, I guess.
You guess? Well, I hope no one was hurt. Not at all, Walter, but please make it snappy.
No, fortunately there were only girls inside, and they're pretty soft. Harriet Conklin got a little annoyed, though. She likes cars with tops on. Say, that reminds me. I promised to give Harriet a lift downtown also, Miss Brooks. Her dad left the house earlier this morning, and he's got the car. Do you mind if we pick her up on the way?
Not at all, Walter, but please make it snappy.
Thanks, and no problem. She lives right down this block. Is that snappy enough for you?
Great. We can pick up my head on the way back.
I'm sorry. Oh, there's Harriet on the porch with her mother.
"You don't have to come to the porch, Walter. I'll be right there."
Okay, Harriet.
Who's that in the car with you, Walter?
Miss Brooks.
Who?
Miss Brooks!
That's what we teachers need. Publicity. Can you come inside a moment, Miss Brooks? I want to talk to you about something. Okay, Mrs. Conklin. I'll be right in.
"Hello, Miss Brooks."
I'd like to talk to Miss Brooks alone for a moment, Harriet.
"Okay, Mother. I'll wait for you in the car, Miss Brooks."
Well, my dear, I haven't seen you in ever so long. It has been quite some time, hasn't it, Mrs. Conklin? I've been working pretty hard at school. Yes, I know. So has Mr. Conklin. He's down there right now, filing some reports on the summer session. That's what I want to talk to you about. I think a little vacation could do you a world of good. Yes, I suppose it would. As you know, Mr. Conklin and I have a little summer cottage up at Crystal Lake. Now, tomorrow is our anniversary, and I'd like to spend the weekend at the lake. Why don't you join us and help celebrate? Well, I really don't know, Mrs. Conklin. You see, in a moment of weakness, I promised Mr. Boynton the entire weekend. Oh! When did you do that? At lunch in about an hour from now. That is, I'm so sure he'll accept. Invite me. You know, seeing how happy our married life is might give Mr. Boynton some ideas on the subject. Why, Mrs. Conklin, I don't know what you're driving at. I've seen you look at Mr. Boynton, Miss Brooks, and when one woman sees another woman look at a man the way you look at Mr. Boynton, that woman knows that other woman is thinking thoughts about that man that woman have thought about men since men and woman were created. From the picture, little man had a busy woman. Now look, Mrs. Conklin, I am fond of Mr. Boynton, but I don't want people to think, well, they will anyway, so why not land them? I tell you what, you and Mr. Boynton come up to Crystal Lake tomorrow, and you two can be our house guests over the weekend. We'll surprise Mr. Conklin. Maybe Mr. Conklin doesn't want to be surprised? You leave dear Osgood to me, Miss Brooks. He'll be delighted to see you by the time I'm through with him. You know, I think Crystal Lake will be extremely conducive to romance. Mrs. Conklin, you sold me. When I have lunch with Mr. Boynton, I'll extend your very kind invitation from you to spend the weekend in your trap at Crystal Lake, cottage. Just remember, Miss Brooks, don't breathe a word of this to Osgood. Don't you worry about that. When Mr. Conklin's around, I can't breathe at all.
I hope you like the idea of lunch at Marty's malt shop, Miss Brooks. We haven't really had lunch here since the school year ended.
Oh, I love eating right across from the school, Mr. Boynton. Of course, I feel sort of like a criminal returning to the scene of the crime, but the food's quite scrumptious today.
Yes, this chili is delicious.
Do you always eat chili that way? With mustard, pepper, and horseradish?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I have a cast iron stomach, Miss Brooks.
Really? Who helped you carry it to school?
Oh, I've always had a love of hot foods, Miss Brooks. I think spice can enhance a meal endlessly.
That goes to life too, doesn't it?
What do you mean, Miss Brooks?
Mr. Boynton, instead of our usual Saturday date, how would you like to go out of town for the weekend?
And leave you all alone? I think not.
You wouldn't leave me. I'd be with you. Oh, what a shame. You got chili all over your tie.
But this is a sports shirt. I'm not wearing a tie.
You are now. I didn't mean to shock you, Mr. Boynton, but Mrs. Conklin invited us to their summer cottage at Crystal Lake, 'cause tomorrow's their anniversary and she wants to surprise Mr. Conklin.
Why, you and I, Miss Brooks?
Well, Mrs. Conklin knows I've been working hard during the summer session, so she thought it would be fun for me. Of course, if you don't want to go, I'll tell her and I won't go either. That's all right. I don't need to get any rest or relaxation in the cool, wondrous mountains. I can have just as good a time right here, staring into a mirror and watching the melted powder run down my nose.
Oh, please, Miss Brooks, I wouldn't want to deprive you of any fun, so...
Good. What time will you pick me up tomorrow?
I guess I'll call for you about 10 o'clock?
Oh, fine. Then we can... Oh, excuse me, Mr. Boynton. Mr. Conklin just sat down by the table by the window, and I'd like to talk to him.
But I thought we were going to go surprise him.
Oh, I'm not going to mention our coming to Crystal Lake. I just want to sound him out about my chances of heading the English department in the coming semester. The job's open, you know.
Yes, I know. I wish you luck, Miss Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Boynton. I'll be right back. Good afternoon, Mr. Conklin.
I'll have the businessman's lunch, miss. But I'll do without the soup and the potatoes.
Mr. Conklin, I'm not your waitress. It's me, Miss Brooks.
I can do without you, too.
I don't want to disturb you during lunch, sir, but...
Then I'll see you later.
I just have one brief question to ask, Mr. Conklin. May I sit down for a moment?
I suppose so. Did you have your lunch?
Yes, sir. With Mr. Boynton over there.
Oh, there, yes. Quite an attractive tie he's got on. You and Mr. Boynton see a good deal of each other, don't you?
Well, now that summer school is over...
You spend quite a bit of time together, both in and out of school. People are beginning to talk.
What people, Mr. Conklin?
Members of the school board. You're still being considered as a possible new head of the English department, after all.
Oh, that's what I wanted to talk—
Don't interrupt. Naturally, my recommendation will carry a lot of weight with the board. But you know how I feel about fraternization between faculty members at Madison High. Now, it would be different if you were married or even engaged to Mr. Boynton. Then I wouldn't mind so much.
Thanks heaps. I mean, how can one ever get engaged if one doesn't fraternize with one, or more than one if necessary?
That is your problem, Miss Brooks. Now, my anniversary is tomorrow, and I'm going to surprise Mrs. Conklin with a surprise trip to Crystal Lake. We have a cottage there, you know.
Yes, I know.
Now, if I feel your conduct this weekend is above reproach, I'd enjoy my vacation that much more.
Believe me, Mr. Conklin, you won't be hearing a thing about Mr. Boynton and myself.
Tell me, Miss Brooks, there's really nothing to your association, is there?
Well, Mr. Conklin, I think I can tell you the truth.
Yes.
My association with Mr. Boynton is the biggest nothing you ever saw.
Well, Saturday morning found the Conklins on the porch of their cottage by Crystal Lake. Let's look in on them as Mr. Conklin sways gently to and fro in the porch hammock. This is the life, Martha. I'm certainly glad we surprised each other with this little vacation.
I knew you'd enjoy yourself here, Osgood.
Oh, it'll be wonderful to be away from the school for a few days. Not that I don't enjoy working with my teachers. They're a grand group of people. Cooperative, capable, but it'll be such a relief to not look at their long faces for a while.
Now, dear, you just drop off to sleep and I'll wake you up in about an hour.
Fine, fine. I love you too, darling. I'll get the bag out the trunk.
Don't forget the bag in the back.
Here we are. I guess it's right up these porch steps.
Yoo-hoo! Is anyone home?
Who in the world? Miss Brooks? Mr. Boynton? What are you doing here?
That's what I like most about Crystal Lake, the hospitality. Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks, Mr. Boynton. It's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you could come.
Martha, did you invite them to be—
Of course, dear. I asked Miss Brooks and Mr. Boynton to spend the weekend with us. That's one surprise I didn't tell you about. Aren't you tickled?
Yes. Tickled.
Act tickled, dear. You certainly don't look tickled. Some people tickle easier than others.
Perhaps Mr. Conklin would just rather be alone with—
Oh, nonsense. Osgood and I see as much of each other alone as we want to. We're already married, you know.
Yes, I know. Congratulations on your anniversary, by the way.
Oh, thank you. As I always say, married life is give and take.
Me too. If you'd given me a little warning, I wouldn't have let you take me here.
Quiet, dear. Now you two must be hot and sticky from your ride up here. I hope you both have a bathing suit. For Mr. Conklin's sake, I hope we each have a bathing suit. I'll show you where to change. Just follow me. We'll all get ready for a nice dip.
I don't want to go for a dip.
Now, dear, we must do the things our guests want to do.
Why? As a matter of fact, I'm afraid I don't have a suit with me. I forgot to pack it.
That's all right. I'll fix you up with one of Osgood's. Come along. You can nap a few more minutes, Osgood. I'll take these folks in tow.
Yes, you do that.
Sounds like he wants you to tow us out about 3 miles, then sink us. Now you go right in here, Mr. Boynton. You'll find a bathing suit in the bottom of the dresser.
Thank you, Mrs. Conklin.
Now, here is the guest room. You and my daughter are going to share it for the weekend, Miss Brooks. Before I leave you, dear, I want you to know that I planned this weekend for your sake more than anybody's. When Mr. Boynton sees how happy we are, I'm sure he'll start thinking that marriage is as jolly an institution as it is. What do you say? Are you game? It sounds like Mr. Boynton's a game, but it's worth a try. You know, I really do like the guy, Mrs. Conklin. I know you do, my dear. Now, one more thing. In addition to our example, I think you should show your domesticity as well. So tonight, I want you to cook the dinner. Me? Definitely. What dish do you prepare best? Soup. What kind? Campbell's. I think if you cook something yourself, it would make a much better impression on Mr. Boynton. I know. You can barbecue up some spare ribs for dinner. Now, get into your suit and I'll see you on the porch. Oh, isn't this fun? I feel like it's a regular fox hunt. Tally-ho! Tally-ho to you, Mrs. Conklin. And I hope we don't make a bunch of yoiks out of ourselves.
Please stop rocking the hammock, Martha. I'm getting seasick.
Now remember, Osgood, we have to set a good example for Miss Brooks' sake.
I don't like it, Martha. I never believed in this matchmaking nonsense. Besides, I thought we'd be alone here, for a while at least. All this mountain air is going to waste.
Oh, it won't all go to waste. There's always tonight.
Tonight? Oh, yes. Come here, baby.
Osgood, remember what I used to call you when we were both married?
Call me it again, Martha.
All right. Sugar cookie?
Am I really your sugar cookie still?
Well, your icing's a little whiter, but you're still a sugar cookie to Mrs. Conklin, I'm sure.
Miss Brooks, why don't...
Hello, Miss Brooks! My, what a lovely one-piece bathing suit. Oh, thank you.
Hello there. Is everyone ready?
Oh, look, it's Mr. Mr. Boynton. Why, Mr. Conklin's suit fits you perfectly, Mr. Boynton. Don't you agree, Miss Brooks? Absolutely. But, aren't the sleeves a little wide at the wrists?
That is one of my older ones, I believe. Wow, that's quite a suit you have on, Miss Brooks.
She made it herself, didn't you, dear? Yes, out of an old stocking and some pen wipers.
Well, it certainly is revealing. I never knew you had a beauty mark there, Miss Brooks.
Where?
Oh, right above your elbow. There.
Mr. Boynton, you're staring. Isn't he a naughty Dickens? He's as naughty as Charles Dickens. Let's get down to the lake, shall we, Mr. Boynton? Come on, Mr. Boynton. I'll race you to the raft.
You're on. Let's go. Here we are. Oh, here, I'll help you up.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome aboard, folks.
Oh, Mr. Conklin, I didn't know you were up here. That's all right, my dear.
Why don't we go take a boat ride, Miss Brooks?
Nonsense. Why should you leave the raft?
Why shouldn't they?
Mr. Boynton, last one in is a sugar cookie.
Well, how do you like driving the motorboat, Miss Brooks?
Oh, it's a lot of fun, Mr. Boynton. But I'm glad nobody's fishing on this lake. This outboard motor is awful noisy.
Oh, I don't think it's too bad.
Too bad. If I was a fish and heard this thing over my head, I'd go hide in a tree.
I think you better turn around now. We're pretty far from the pier.
All right. Say, that's funny. The steering wheel seems to be stuck.
Here, let me give you a hand.
Isn't that a rowboat in that little cove we're heading for?
A rowboat? Where? Oh, yes it is. I'd better cut the engine off. We're heading right for him. The ignition lever is stuck too.
Oh! You'd better do something, Mr. Boynton. We're getting close to that rowboat. Look out! Get out of the way!
Quick, Miss Brooks. Lie on the bottom of the boat. I can't stop it.
Ah! Oh, what happened? Did we hit them?
No, thank goodness. We just missed them. It's all right now. I've got everything under control.
Oh, thank heavens. Least we can do is turn around and apologize for scaring them like this.
You're right, Miss Brooks. I'll turn us around.
folks?
That's all right, Miss Brooks. We didn't want to catch any fish here.
Don't worry about the fish, Mr. Conklin. I'm going to barbecue us some dinner later.
Are you, Miss Brooks? And just what are you going to barbecue?
Me! I love eating out in the open air. I'm sure the spare ribs Miss Brooks barbecued for us will be delicious. Don't you think so, Osgood?
Think I should have been the one to barbecue 'em. It's my barbecue.
But Mr. Boynton will enjoy them so much more because Miss Brooks made them. Isn't that right, Mr. Boynton?
Why, yes, Harriet, I suppose so.
Here they are, folks. I hope they turned out all right.
I bet they're delicious.
I suppose I'd better taste it. What is this?
No good.
It tastes like charcoal.
Did you do it like I told you? Barbecue the ribs slowly with a nice smooth glowing bed of coals. Certainly. I had a perfectly glowing bed of coals over the ribs.
I don't think I'm very hungry right now. This mountain air sure fills you up.
Maybe you ought to stop breathing a while. Don't want to make a pig out of yourself.
I'm going into the house to cook myself an egg.
Oh, wait, dear. I'll make you something.
You can't cook any better than she can.
Daddy, this is your anniversary dinner.
Yes, dear. Let's be cheerful. Oh, how we danced on the night we were wed.
Anniversary my foot. I'm going inside.
Danced and we danced, but she wouldn't drop dead. There, dear. Wasn't that a nice snack? Just the two of us in the kitchen.
It was better than those barbecued rocks. Martha, if that poor Mr. Boynton falls for that Miss Brooks, I pity him.
Now, Osgood, we agreed to forget all about that. Let's go out and sit in the hammock together. The mountain air is still with us, you know, and it's quite hot on the porch.
What? Who's in that hammock?
It's us, Daddy.
Us?
Harriet and me, Mr. Conklin. Happy anniversary!
It's Walter Denton, Daddy. He got here while you were inside. I invited him yesterday to surprise you.
Oh, this is the last straw.
Calm down, Osgood. Remember your blood pressure.
It gives him kind of a purpley look, doesn't it?
I've got to be calm. Let's go for a walk, Martha. Maybe we'll run into Miss Brooks and Mr. Boynton somewhere.
I doubt it, Mr. Conklin. We're at the other end of the hammock.
Bah! I'll be all right. I'll be fine. Let's just go into our bedroom and get to sleep. Maybe when I wake up in the morning, this will all be a bad dream.
Oh, we can't go into our bedroom together, Osgood. Now that Walter's here, Harriet, Miss Brooks, and I will have to share our room. You, Mr. Boynton, and Walter will have to sleep together in the guest room.
Now this has gone on far enough. I want to tell you people something.
Before you do, Mr. Conklin, I'd like to ask you a question.
Oh, what is it?
How likely are my chances of being appointed the head of the English department? You don't have to tell me now. Think it over and tell me after I blow my brains out.
One day, Miss Brooks is going to come out on top, I just know it. But that is the end of today's Our Miss Brooks. Next week, join us for the second to last episode of this season, The Shadow. Retrostatic Radio is made possible from the generous donations of listeners like you. So please, if you can, make a one-time donation to Ko-fi.com. Soon, we'll be opening up our submissions for audience-submitted choices for episodes, movies, and thank you pictures from our social media staff. Speaking of them, sharing is caring, so please, if you enjoy this or any other of our broadcasts, subscribe where possible, share wherever you can, and please follow our social media pages on Twitter, Facebook, and especially Instagram for the latest fun from our social media team. Dawn the Squishy Fawn, Priscilla the Yarn Dragon, and 2 new hires, Wash and Nigel. More descriptions on our social media pages there. This concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless.